We're going to look at it. So foul there on Indiana, on Hull there. But then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact technical.
It's a little surprising to see so many of these happen in one game because...
Oh, and I don't like the way Lexie Hull...
The Indiana Fever walked into Minnesota against the Lynx with 5 players already sidelined. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Chloe BBY, Sydney Carlson, and Ari McDonald. Odyssey Sims nevertheless hobbled onto the field to give them a chance. And then the referees delivered the biggest gut punch of the night. Lexie Hull takes an elbow to the face from Kayla McBride, and they call the foul on Hull. Caitlin Clark is furious. How does this keep happening? If you thought the injury crisis was bad, wait until you hear how officiating is stacking the deck against this team's playoff fight. Do you think the referees are out to get the Fever? Let us know down in the comments below. Let's go.
Every time a game happens in the WNBA, somebody's getting abused, somebody getting beaten, somebody is getting hurt, man. Somebody is getting hurt every game in the WNBA, and they just fail to realize this, fail to have any protocols on stopping the nonsense, man. My goodness.
Imagine going into a game against one of the league's toughest teams with more than half your roster unavailable. That's not an exaggeration. That's exactly what Indiana faced. Caitlin Clark has been sidelined with a groin injury for more than a month now. Sophie Cunningham is out for the season with an MCL tear. Chloe BBY nursing a knee problem. Sydney Carlson is out for the season with a torn ACL. And Ari McDonald is out for the season with a right foot injury. That's 5 players gone. Odyssey Sims, their hardship contract signing, essentially the backup to the backup to the backup of Caitlin Clark, wasn't even close to full strength. But with the roster so thin, she still dragged herself onto the court. Just reading that list of absences is exhausting. So imagine trying to compete at the professional level with those gaps in your lineup.
The Indiana Fever's injury bug is getting into spooky territory. It seems like there's a new player every single day that's getting injured. Right now they have Caitlin Clark out, not sure if she will be returning this season. Sid Colson out with a season-ending ACL tear. Ari McDonald out with a season-ending fracture in her foot. Sophie Cunningham out with a season-ending MCL tear. And then just today, before the game, they announced that Chloe Bibby would be out with a knee injury, and basically they just said it's soreness and they're just playing it safe.
This avalanche of injuries didn't just strip away superstar talent. It destroyed the very structure of Indiana's rotations. Their entire wing and guard depth vanished overnight, leaving players like Lexie Hull and Kelsey Mitchell carrying an impossible load. 2 nights ago, also against Minnesota, Hull was forced to play a career-high 37 minutes and poured in 23 points because there simply was no one else to fill that role. That's not a luxury performance. It's pure necessity. When you're relying on players to give you more than they ever have before, every possession feels like a mountain to climb. Don't get me wrong, Hull can definitely put up these numbers on any given night, but to ask heavy minutes from each of your starters because no one is left is a heavy task.
Lexie, did you come into tonight kind of expecting to play darn near the whole game just with the injury situation and then the personnel available?
Damn, you played 37 minutes.
I mean, you played a lot too, Kels. When did you play? 35. I mean, yeah, we're down people, so gotta suck it up, play a little tired a few minutes, and take in those timeouts as best we can. But yeah, I mean, we're down people, so everyone's got to do a little more.
The team's patchwork fixes have come in the form of hardship contracts, bodies signed on the fly just to keep them afloat. She barely unpacked her bags before being jetted into the rotation. Odyssey Sims, battling her own injuries, was somehow expected to steady the team. Aerial Powers was another late addition, thrown directly into major minutes without the benefit of real chemistry with her teammates. All 3 of them were handed crucial roles with no time to prepare, no rhythm built, and yet were immediately forced into the fire. It's hard to describe how brutal that is to a team's cohesion. It creates a group of players who are trying to build chemistry in real time while opponents exploit every weakness.
We've had 3 players in the last I don't know how many days, and 2 of those players are point guards, so not really. But you know, at the same time, our ability to to make plays out of what we have, right? I think a lot of our spacing allows players to do what they do best, creates opportunities for them to be successful, and then it's just making the right reads and finding the right pass, on time, on target. And some of that is with experience with your teammates, and some of that is instinct. And so we are trying to do as much as we can to put players in position to use those instincts.
Even head coach Stephanie White admitted the physicality Indiana faced was different than what they could handle with this short-handed roster. Different is really putting it gently. Every drive and every defensive stand required maximum energy from a lineup with paper-thin depth. And still, Kelsey Mitchell did everything she could to drag the Fever into contention. She scored 26 points, fought through traps and relentless defense, and had stretches where she looked like she might single-handedly keep the Fever alive. That's superstar-level performing. But when the rest of your offensive rhythm is stitched together with players who just signed because of injuries, there's a limit to how far one player can take you.
At this rate, the Fever are going to end the season with a completely different team than what they started the season with. And even the players that they're bringing in on hardship or that they're signing midway through the season, they're now going down with injuries. The season from hell would be an understatement on this team right now.
This loss wasn't about a lack of effort. It was about survival. The Fever played with grit in the face of a nightmare scenario, refusing to fold despite being outmanned on every front. And yet, as tough as all that sounds, injuries weren't the most damaging factor of the night. The referees decided to make sure of that.
Here's Mitchell. I think that's a 2. Doesn't go. And now it's McBride getting Hull.
Yeah, that one might be a problem.
Indiana just taking shots to the face.
What happens when even the referees become part of the problem? That's the reality Indiana had to deal with. Lexie Hull, already stretched thin, playing huge minutes, was battling on defense when Kayla McBride swung through. Instead of a clean play, Hull caught a sharp elbow straight to the face. She went down hard, grabbing at her face, and anyone watching assumed the call was obvious. This was textbook flagrant contact. But instead of penalizing McBride, the officials somehow turned the whistle against Hull. The same player who took the elbow was punished as if she had caused it. That decision left the arena buzzing in shock.
And Hull is checking her jaw.
See that one again. Kayla McBride goes up, grabs the board, and she wants to get free because Hull has her kind of wrapped, and boy, that's a hard swing. They're going to review it.
Fans and analysts alike expected a review to clear things up, but the replay process only made the situation worse. After looking at the slow motion, the officials upgraded the foul slightly, but stopped short of holding McBride fully responsible. It was as if they acknowledged something wrong happened, yet still refused to give accountability where it clearly belonged. Hull had visible contact to the face, went to the ground in obvious pain, and Indiana was the team punished in the exchange. How do you justify that?
Boom! Right there. Oh my goodness. Boom! Right in the face, man. Right in the face. Now, like I stated, I get it. You might be mad that Lexie put her hand on your forehead. But fam, there is no reason for you to be throwing elbows to somebody's face like that. Come on, man. Throwing elbows to the face.
Across social media, Fever fans erupted with frustration. Was this a one-off mistake, or is it now a pattern of Indiana being treated differently by referees? Because time and time again, when a Fever player takes a hard shot, whether it's a shove, a body blow, or in this case, an elbow, the call rarely goes in their favor. It's building a perception that the league is fine, letting opponents turn up the physical targeting as long as the team in blue and red is on the receiving end. Players already dropping like flies from injuries only fuels the anger. If you're already down half your roster, the absolute last thing you can afford is the officials helping pile on.
Kayla McBride, 13 points for Kayla McBride. Hit Lexie Hull with an elbow. Foul on Lexie Hull. Hits Lexie Hull with an elbow, foul on Lexie Hull. I don't understand.
Minnesota leaned into physical play all night. That style isn't illegal by itself. Plenty of teams use physicality to their advantage. But the issue came when Indiana's attempts to battle back weren't given the same whistle. Stephanie White has even hinted the game was called differently, a subtle way of pointing out that her team wasn't being treated on the same scale as their opponent. Anyone watching could see the difference. Drives by fewer guards were swallowed without fouls, but a bump on the other end immediately drew a whistle. And with every inconsistency, that simmering frustration from fans and players only got louder.
This was intentional. Now, if it wasn't intentional, okay, give it a flagrant one. I understand it. She wasn't trying to do it. Cool. But this was intentional. All right? She had malice on the heart with this one. Bad intentions. Okay? She was trying to wreck some stuff up there doing this one. Hey, let's just keep it a grand, man. Let's just keep it a grand. Kayla McBride was trying to knock Lexie right on her booty cheeks, but she succeeded at, fam. Knocked her clean out. Look at this.
This wasn't just a missed call. It symbolized something larger. To Indiana, it looked like confirmation that the system itself was tilted. That officiating bias was more than an accident. It was a barrier they had to play against every night. And yet, instead of giving into the injustice, the short-handed Fever dug in and kept fighting, leaning on unlikely heroes to keep the game alive.
Knocked her clean out, man. Oh my goodness. I mean, folded. Look at how her legs are folded right here. Come on, man. Knocking her clean out right here. That was bad intentions, dog. That was bad intentions. I don't care what anybody say, man. That was bad intentions, man. And the refs have to do something about it. You have to make sure that players don't feel comfortable getting out of pocket and doing things like this.
You'd expect a team missing so many key players to fold early, but that's not what Indiana did. Instead of collapsing under the weight of injuries and bad officiating, they pushed back with everything they had. Kelsey Mitchell once again carried the scoring load, putting up 26 points and answering every Minnesota run until she simply ran out of gas. She was the offensive lifeline in a game where every possession mattered. Without her shot creation, this would have turned ugly fast, but she refused to let that happen. Her ability to stay aggressive and keep attacking the rim, even when the whistles weren't on her side, set the tone for the fight that followed.
Indiana started this game 9 of 13, but has missed 4 straight until Shea Petty.
The surprise came from Shea Petty, who had barely arrived in Indiana before being asked to deliver major minutes. You'd expect a hardship signing to take a back seat, but Petty dropped 16 points off the bench, like she had been part of the system all year. Coming in cold with no rhythm and no built-in chemistry, and still stepping into an essential offensive role showed exactly how much the Fever needed every ounce of contribution. For a player essentially signed as an emergency option, she looked like someone who belonged.
Reaction looked like it was a lot more violent than that. It still gotta hurt though. The pass from Williams. Oh, Collier is blocked.
Aaliyah Boston held down the other side of the floor. Even while being doubled, bumped, and bodied all night, she remained active defensively and refused to let the Lins dominate the paint. Her effort on the boards was constant, giving Indiana second chances and grounding a defense that was stretched thin everywhere else. Boston didn't have to put up wild scoring numbers to make an impact. Her composure and toughness were an anchor, and that steadiness is crucial for a team piecing itself together with short-term replacements. Everyone also noticed what Lexie Hull had done the game before. Dropping 23 points in 37 minutes might not sound like a season performance, but when it comes from a player who isn't normally leaned on for that volume, it matters in a huge way. Hull's willingness to embrace a larger role in the middle of this chaos gave Indiana a chance to breathe. Add in Aerial Powers, another late roster addition forced into meaningful minutes after Cunningham's injury, and you begin to see how every piece was stretched beyond its normal weight just to keep this team moving.
Dribble. Carrington got a piece of it. Powers gets it back. Second attempt. Up and in. And she's fouled.
The basket. And then she's just fighting and battling for her shot.
That's why fans can't stop imagining what happens when the group finally gets Caitlin Clark back. If a short-handed roster with emergency signings can push playoff teams to the limit, what could a healthy backcourt mean? The answer feels obvious. Right now, Indiana has slipped to 8th in the standings, holding on by a thread with every game carrying playoff-level importance. Their spirit refuses to die, but everyone knows there's one player who can truly change the future. And that's why all attention shifts to the biggest question. When does Caitlin Clark return?
For Sophia! For Sophia! For Sophia! Get him, Sophie!
There's only one person who can pull the Fever out of this disaster, and fans just saw her back on the practice court. Caitlin Clark showed up in Minnesota, not cleared to play yet, but finally moving with her teammates again. That sight alone shifted the energy around this team. After weeks of watching from the sidelines, even walking into shoot-around gave everyone a sense that a turning point might finally be coming. For a group battered by injuries and inconsistent play, seeing her suited up with the team again was like a lifeline.
This team needs Caitlin Clark to come back in the worst way. Not only if they want to save this, if they want to even play in mid to late September. This isn't a playoff team, what we're watching right now. This isn't a playoff team. This is a Kelsey Mitchell, please save us team. Kelsey Mitchell, we need 40 and 10. 40 points, 10 assists from you every night to be in the playoffs. We need a Herculean effort in the second half. We need Lexie Hull catching fire late in the fourth quarter and in overtime for this team to continue to stay in the playoffs.
Her return can't come soon enough because the Fever are clinging to the 8th seed with a 19-win, 18-loss record after the Minnesota loss. That's just a one-game cushion on the Sparks, and there are only 7 left to play. The next stretch is brutal. Seattle, Golden State, Chicago, and Los Angeles are all on the calendar. None of those games will give Indiana any breathing room, and every defeat risks them dropping out of the playoff picture entirely. That's the desperation right now. The Fever doesn't have time to wait around.
We got our best indication yet that Caitlin Clark is on her way back toward a return for the Indiana Fever. That's because she was seen participating in shoot-around before the Minnesota Lynx game. Now, that doesn't mean she's playing. She's still out for that game, and she hasn't returned to full practice yet, but she is back on the court with her teammates. This coming on the heels of Stephanie White saying she hopes that Clark would return to the lineup before the regular season is out, and that when you see her participating in practice, you will know she's on the way back.
The team's struggles without Clark have been clear. There's no one orchestrating the offense. No one who naturally pulls defenders and opens the floor. Kelsey Mitchell can score in bunches, and Aaliyah Boston can anchor the paint, but they aren't true floor generals. When Clark is absent, every possession feels disconnected, as if pieces are moving without a clear plan. That's why the hardship signings, as solid as they've been, can only go so far. They've given energy, but they can't replace the organizing force that Clark brings. And fans know it. Every clip of Clark shooting in warm-ups gets picked apart on social media. Every dribble in practice is slowed down, analyzed, and shared. Even the smallest details, her footwork, her speed, and her body language, become headline material because people are desperate for any sign that she'll be cleared to play again. It's not just excitement. It's anxiety because everyone feels the playoff math tightening. Indiana sits barely ahead of Los Angeles, and without Clark, that gap could disappear in a week.
So you see Caitlin Clark, this video captured by Chloe Peterson at shoot-around. You can see Caitlin doing some work right there, just, warm-up work, back and forth on the court, but nonetheless on a basketball court. It's been a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark on a basketball court. Certainly a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark play basketball. Then there was a little bit more footage here, and you see Caitlin involved on the floor yet again, even handling the ball, working with her teammates. I mean, that's an important sign there to see her working with her teammates.
What Clark offers isn't just points. She has the ability to elevate both Boston and Mitchell by creating easier opportunities, slowing the chaos, and making Indiana look like an actual playoff-level team again. No hardship, no patchwork lineup can do that. That is why her comeback represents more than another injured player returning. It's the difference between this group playing postseason basketball or watching from home. The hope is rising, the fans are restless, and everyone knows what hangs in the balance. But can one player, even Caitlin Clark, overcome everything working against this team? The Fever are stuck playing two battles at once. Every opponent on the schedule and the constant blows from injuries and questionable whistles. That combination doesn't just wear a team down physically, it pushes their mental toughness to the limit. You can see it in their body language after certain calls, and you can feel it in the fan frustration boiling over online. So, the question lingers. Can Caitlin Clark's return be enough to lift this group past injuries and officiating bias? Whatever happens, the fight Indiana has shown will be remembered, especially if this resilience carries them into the postseason. Do you think the referees are out to get the Fever? Let us know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen and we will see you in the next.